Hi everyone, hope you're doing great. I also hope that you like this intro because this made in a pinch. I hadn't practiced a single time before. Just I pressed record and recorded and improvised whatever I had in mind at this point. This is the end goal. This is what I want to teach you, even if you have never played piano before, especially if you have never played piano before, to give you this sense of how the keyboard works and give you all the tools to be creative with a keyboard. Now, there are going to be a number of challenges in this. First, it's an art form. It's difficult to teach just in videos, but if you practice along the way, I'm sure you will be able to get it at some point. The second thing is that I've never taught it before. So this is going to be a challenge for me to be able to express it and give you a sense of what I mean. The beginning for me is quite clear. I know how I want to start. In this video, I want to teach you first how to approach the keyboard in a structured way. If you have never played piano before, it might look like a mess of white and black keys, and you probably don't really know where to put your fingers to start with. I want to give you a very basic notion of how the keyboard works, and then you will have to experiment with it to feel at ease with where the keys are, and if you hear this key and you want to reach another one, where to go. This sounds confusing probably, but keep on watching. I'm going to be more clear along the way. I'm going to give you some examples. And the second part of this video is going to be about piano chords. I want to show you how a chord is formed, how it works and sounds like, and I want to give you a notion of how this very basic finger structure can work on a piano. Isn't that great? Well, let's get on with it. But one thing, if you could hit like and subscribe on this video, that would mean the world to me. Now let's get on with it. And welcome back to the keyboard. First part is about the structure of the keyboard. On the left side of the keyboard, you're going to have lower pitched sounds. And on the right part of the keyboard, you're going to have high pitched sounds. This is very simple. Now you have two rows, white keys and black keys. Black keys are the sharp notes, and we are not going to use them for the moment, but they're going to be very useful to detect the different parts of the keyboard. You can separate each section of the keyboard that are called octaves. So to give you an example, this note is going to be exactly the same as this one, this one, this one. How do I know this? Well, just first take a listen and you're going to see it's exactly the same note at different pitches. These are the same notes, but at different pitches, lower pitch, high pitch. So each lot of 7 keys is 1 octave. You can't take out one key, otherwise you will be missing a key, but you can play almost any melody on 1 octave. Obviously, if you have so many octaves on your keyboard, it's because you can have the possibility and the want to have more keys at the same time playing and at different pitches because they mean different things into composition. So it's a powerful tool. But the important thing to understand is that if you find one note, you can have multiple versions of this note at different pitches, and playing them at the same time often sound good. So to detect where to find them, it's pretty easy. If you look at the black notes, you will see missing black notes. So these are this black notes, this one, this one, this one, this one. You see spaces where there should be a black note and there isn't. These are going to be our markers of where the key starts and ends. So at the beginning of a bunch of 2 notes, you will have on the left the first of an octave, which is the Si or Do in French, or different languages that teach music with Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si, Do. Never mind if I use Do or Si, these are the same notes. And then if you go up, you're going to find C, D, E, F, G, and then A, B, and C again. If you hear, you come back to C again, and if you look at the position of the C here and the C here, you see that it's on the left side of a group of 2 sharp notes. So every note that is going to be on the left of 2 sharp notes is going to be a C. Take a listen. these are all the same notes, and this goes for every single note on the keyboard. If you take a note that is on the between the two last notes of a three lot of black notes, so this white note, you have 1, 2, 3, so it's between the 2 and the 3, you will have the same note as if you take this group of 3 and the one between the second and third black notes, as well as there. So pretty simple. And it goes for everyone on the keyboard. Why do I tell you that? Well, it's very useful later on when you want to reach different notes to know what they are going well with and see the patterns on the keyboard. It's important to have this eye looking for these patterns. And this is going to be even more useful when you start playing with sharp notes, because you will need to play some of these black notes, skip others, use this as a reference. It's getting a bit complicated, but it's a gymnastic mental training that you can practice while playing and having fun on the keyboard. Now, that being said, I'm going to teach you how to make a chord on the keyboard. So that was our second point. The second point is playing a chord. Now, a chord can be taught in various ways. What I want to show you is just the basic shape of a chord that if you practice well enough, is going to help you a lot compose. So you can play a lot of melodies using that. The position is going to be quite simple. You will have your pinky finger on the first note. Let's pick the A note. So that is La in French. A. Then the B is going to be skipped. You have a finger over the key, but you won't be playing it. Why do I say that? Well, it's because you will have to have one finger over each key at the beginning to be able to have the good position to reach easily between keys. That's a very useful tip if you are starting to get the good reflexes as soon as you start. So we'll have one finger, skip one finger, skip one finger. So you will be in this position. It will sound something like this. If you play this chord starting with the pinky on the same note or on the thumb on the same note as this one, you will have the same chord at different pitches. Take a listen. The same thing goes for the right hand. You can play the same chord on the right hand as on the left hand, and actually it sounds quite good. Take a listen. You can also change the chord just keeping the same position. So you will have on your right hand the same chord and on your left hand the same chord. If you want to do it easily, either you pay attention to the finger that starts the chord, or you look at the fact that doing the two same chords, you will have a space of 2 notes between your 2 hands. Here you've got your 2 hands pressing and you've got 2 notes in between them. So pretty easy to spot. If you move them up or down randomly, you're going to get this result. It doesn't sound amazing yet, but you can see that very easily you can get different chords with your 2 hands. Now, what I want to teach you in the end of this video is to be able, and that's my third point, to play basic melody using chords. So what we're going to do is to separate our 2 hands in 2 groups. On the left hand, you're going to play the chord. On the right hand, you're going to play your melody. If this gymnastic is very hard for you, and it should be, don't worry. It's going to take you time and practice, but it's fine. So if you start on the A key, you can have a chord and you can play a basic melody on the right, 1 note at a time. Don't forget, you must never play the melody using just your index finger. Play with every single finger of your hand. So put your thumb over the same note as the one starting, so it's the A in this case, and it will be easier because when you're playing only one white notes, it's quite easy to start on the A key. Okay, so as I was saying before my batteries ran out, The left side of your hand is going to play the chord, the right is going to play the melody. The chord is exactly like I taught you, one finger lifted, one finger lifted, one finger. So it makes a trio of notes with 2 fingers lifted. If you start with your pinky on the A note, on the La, well, on your right hand, your melody can start on the same note. You can start it on any note you want, it's just a tip. Because if you play 2 chords next to each other, it sounds like this, but if you play your melody starting with the same note, it will be quite easy then to get a grip on what you want to play. A tip is also that when you're playing, if you want to find the right chord that should go with your melody, you should leave 2 notes between the 2 hands. So it would sound something like this, for example. So that's something that you can create. You saw that I changed my left hand from left to right or right to left. I could go a bit wilder on the left hand and right hand. There are some combos, however, that sound a bit more complicated. For example, this combo. It doesn't sound bad. Actually, it sounds great if you implement it in a melody, but just as is, it's going to be a bit difficult. Here is how you could, for example, pull off something that sounds bad into something that sounds good. On the piano, there is a tip, if you're improvising, is to carry boldly the mistakes you make as if they were part of the melody you're composing. Because no one knows what you're really aiming at. So as long as you're not playing a well-known melody, it's very easy to make mistakes and to correct them as if they were part of the intended melody. Take, for example, this. I want to play this melody. But if I miss a note, for example, I do this, it sounds bad. So when I realize that I'm making the wrong note, playing this note instead of this one, I have to find other notes than what I planned to play to correct that. So for example, it would sound I chose to repeat the wrong pattern. It sounded wrong at the beginning and then it sounded right as much as I played it, because repeating the wrong pattern and changing it a bit sounds as if it's a part of the intended melody. Trying it will confirm what I'm telling you. It's a bit weird explaining it like that, but trust me, it does. Now, the last thing I want to teach you before ending this video, which is a lot of information at the same time, and you will have to practice to get a good grip on what I'm talking about, because just looking at a keyboard is not enough. You have to practice to feel how it is and to be able to play what you want to play yourself. It's crucial to know how to press the sustain pedal. So I'm going to teach you a bit how it's working. My tip, if you're starting out with the sustain pedal, is to press the sustain pedal unless you're changing chords. So take a listen. I'm going to play different chords and you will see that it will sound messier and messier along the way because I'm not lifting the sustain pedal. Take a listen. This honestly sounds awful. The melody is great, but you sound that the piano is getting messier and messier. If you want to clean this, there's a very simple method. Every time you change the chord on the left hand, lift the pedal. This would sound something like this. I didn't lift it when I was playing the melody. I lifted it when I was changing chords. So when starting, when you change the chord, pay attention to the sustain pedal because you will feel very fast when you should press it or not. but just as a tip, it's very important to pay attention to where the chord is. So before leaving you, I want to show you a bit what you can play using just this method, playing different examples. It's not going to be complicated examples at the beginning, and then I'm going to try to embellish it a bit, just using the techniques I showed you. One finger at a time on the right hand, or sometimes two, because you can go wild using two. And on the left hand, just using the chords as I taught you, only using the white keys. What you can try is to try to copy this more or less, trying to get ideas for what you're trying to compose yourself. It's very powerful to know a few patterns and tricks and to get a feeling of how your fingers should feel when they're composing something. It's difficult to explain, once again, but trust me, feeling the patterns in your hand make a big change. That looks like the end of the video. I'm sure there are a lot of things to improve and things you probably haven't understood the way I explained them. Please leave them in the comments below. I will read and answer as many as I can. If you found this interesting, you can share it to a friend and try to practice together. This is a very powerful way to stay motivated. Speaking of staying motivated, don't worry if it seems like a huge mountain to climb at the first video. It is in some way, but practice makes perfect, first. And second thing, there's a lot of information I packed into this video, but you will need a bit more time to practice it than the length of the video, obviously. It can take a week, it can take a month. Don't worry, it's fine. Practice the way you like it. Have fun, and this is going to be the best teacher you have. Having fun is going to be the motivator. So if it bores you, well, keep on watching, try something new, try shifting your hands, try different melodies. That's the way you will keep it interesting. You're your own teacher on this channel. I give you guidelines and you learn to break them because that's the way we should create. So that being said, I salute every single one of you and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.